We are joined by Nikki Levy, who is the co-host of Audible's Owning It podcast. Nikki, great to have you here with us today.
What's up?
Hey, what's up? You host this podcast series with transparent actress and activist Alexandra Billings. What do you both try and bring to the podcast to help entertain viewers, but also help them feel comfortable in their own skin?
We mostly bring silliness. And I've known Alexandra, who also is now in The Conners, and she's going back to Broadway and Wicked.
Crushing it.
I've known her for years. Yeah, she's amazing. And she and I actually got to do this together in studio, and we brought on 6 brilliant queer icons to tell stories of joy and awkwardness, which to me, the awkwardness makes a great story, right? Like the struggle makes a great story. And we're just hoping to bring connection, especially in a time when we've literally all been in the house for a year and a half. And every single person who actually did this special, except for me and Alex, did it from their closets. So
wow.
Bianca Del Rio, Chase Strangio, Deanna Reasonover from NCIS, Harvey Guillen from What We Do in the Shadows. Oh my God. Jen Kober from Dead to Me. Everybody literally did a queer special from their closets, which was obviously phenomenal. And it's about just the idea of what's comedy, it's tragedy plus time. So, Bianca Del Rio told this hilarious story right after she won Drag Race. Mm-hmm. She had all these amazing gigs. She thought she was on top of the world. One of the gigs was in a remodeled Pizza Hut in Madison, Wisconsin, the fanciest of fancy places. And none of her luggage arrived.
Wow.
So she had to put on a drag show by doing essentially a drive-by shopping spree in a Walmart in the middle of Wisconsin.
Some of my favorite shopping sprees are at Wisconsin Walmarts. Well, Walmarts in general, but I have never been to Wisconsin, so I don't want to give any false news there on where I have been. However, that sounds like an amazing story. Is that what is the story that sticks out to you the most? You were starting to get into one of the stories there. Is there one that you've taken away from this podcast and said, "My goodness, that just hit on a different level"?
I will. Can I say 2? Because I'm a Libra
Go for
and I
it.
can never make up my mind. Okay, great. So one of the stories, the first time we've done the special for 4 years, right? This is the first time everything was done in people's closets, by the way. Usually it's done live. But one of the stories was by someone who isn't Hollywood. His name is Chase Strangio, and he's the head trans lawyer for trans rights at the ACLU. And he told the story of fighting and winning the first ever Supreme Court case to uphold the rights for queer people, meaning because of Chase fighting and winning a case during a pandemic in the Supreme Court, we are protected at work, in health, and in our places of living, meaning we can't be fired or evicted because we are queer. And he is incredible.
Wow.
He told that story from his closet in Queens. The other story I want to share that I love, I mean, there's so many, but Harvey Guillen, who is a dear friend, he is in What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes.
And Zoe's, so I love him. And he told a story of going with his mom to Mexico for the first time when he was a kid, super excited, and he was called a mariposa. And a mariposa, of course, means butterfly. And all he knew is that, well, I love butterflies. Butterflies are great. And what he was being called at 6 years old was gay, and not in a nice way. And that was actually this formative experience of, wait, I love butterflies. Why is someone calling me this thing as if it's bad? And he used that to discover who he is.
Wow.
And there's one more story I have to say. Deanna Reasonover from NCIS tells a hilarious story of proposing to her now wife, or getting proposed to by her now wife via a box of barbecue tools.
Yeah.
Once gay marriage passes. And I love Deanna too. She's brilliant. And it's just sort of sometimes we experience things and they're awkward, they're difficult, they're painful. Mm-hmm. And we need time to pass to be able to find the humor. And I do really believe when we find the humor in those things, we free other people to find the humor in their own pain.
Wow, that's
good. And
good.
that to me is that's the best comedy.
That's really good.
That's it.
Nikki, just while we have you, we only have about 30 seconds left here, but where would you like to see more of the representation pushed forward, especially among the LGBTQ plus community in the podcasting space, so that we do have more of these stories coming forward?
So this is a special, meaning it came out once for Pride Month. All 6 stories live there. Alex and I are on there and live there. But in terms of audio in general, we did our best, to get really interesting and different stories. But there's something to be said about a special that is specifically Latinx stories, right? Like literally, like interesting cross section of
intersectionality. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Demographics, meaning ages, where you grew up, what ethnicity, are you, or are your family? The same with Black stories, the same with trans stories, the same with lesbian stories. I mean, the same with Asian stories, but there is so much diversity within our humongous and absolutely growing community that, to me, I want to dig deeper into each box.
Right.
That's not a gay pun, but it totally could be today.
Nikki, we got to leave things there on the day. I wish we could continue discussing this because Libra Leo, the collaboration, I know it's there, and the discussion has been wholeheartedly amazing this morning. Thanks so much for taking the time this morning with us on Opening Bell. Absolutely. Nikki Levy, who is the co-host of Audible's Owning It podcast. Great stuff. Go check it out if you haven't already.